Okay, this here's a little window. Same drill as the last window. I'm using one of those Diablo blades. And you'll notice it's kind of a short blade, but it's on purpose because the long end of that blade will hit that back of that seal. Now, the other thing you'll notice is I didn't cut the top hinges. I did that before I remembered to turn the camera on. You'll notice I didn't do the top of that style, but it's just because you can twist it and break it off once you can get a hold of it. Same thing, go ahead and make me a little point where I can pry on at each corner, or each middle on each side and top and bottom. Use a pry bar to steady it so it don't bounce around when the sawzall's cutting it. I did try several ways to do this. I used a 9-inch angle grinder with 7-inch cutoff wheels on some of them. I attempted to use a portaband. You can't really get it in there. Plus, if it binds at all on a portaband, it's a pain in the butt. Portaband's not the right tool for this job. A 4-inch angle grinder with cutoff wheels would probably be fine too. But the other thing is, as much as cutoff wheels stink when you cut them, we do intend to eventually live in this house. And I realize by the time we paint and all, you wouldn't smell that. But we're working in this house a lot too. And I can tolerate the smell of cutoff wheels. My wife doesn't tolerate it quite as much. So, besides that, you go through a lot of cutoff wheels. I'm just cleaning those corners up for that spike that's up in the corner of these windows. These small windows, I've had the best luck in fitting them as far as not having to do, second and third tries. Now this one I did see that I had to go back and work on the corners apparently. Don't recommend using your hand as a mallet, but if you can't find your mallet, a lot of times you use a regular hammer. And what I got there is a shim, and I'm putting the shim between the hammer and the window frame. I'll be honest with you, I put the level up there because I figured people on the internet would give me a hard time for not using a level. Since then, I decided I don't care. I'll be honest with you. These windows, I'm not going to modify 70-year-old window openings to make something level as long as it works. If it's stupid but works, hey, it's not stupid. And you can drive yourself crazy trying to make things perfectly level, especially when you're dealing with old construction like this. Don't do it. Don't worry about it. There are places where it really matters. This is not one of those places. Now, one reason you wouldn't want to shoot both sides and then check the windows because you don't know which side is your problem. So you go ahead and shoot one side, check it, okay, it's working. Shoot that side, check it, okay, it's working. Go ahead and shoot the top. There is no place to shoot it on the bottom. I would suspect that could cause water problems, especially if your home is made of wood. One thing, when you install windows like this, you see the weep holes, the little things on each end of the window. Whatever you do, don't obscure a weep hole. I think I had done the same thing on this one. I forgot to record cutting the top hinge. This window is just like that last window, only it had an air conditioner in it for at least the last 30 years. And I had already cut the top hinge. You see there in the background the last window to install, sitting there, plus the window that goes in here. Probably haven't cut it quite enough. Anyhow, that's a mini split that I'm installing right there, and you can't see it. But that's a large mini split there. There's a small mini split just on this other side, so I'm having to be careful. I don't want to hit these mini splits with the window panes. There's my pride and joy. 60-volt DeWalt SDS Max hammer drill. This thing has saved me a lot of trouble. I had borrowed an older, probably 90s, maybe even 80s model. Well, no, probably 80s. Probably 90s model DeWalt hammer drill, corded, that did not have a kickback clutch when I was cutting some large holes, coincidentally for those AC lines, for these units. Anyway, it didn't have a clutch that kicked out, so when it bound up on the second hole I was doing, it threw me off a ladder, and fortunately I didn't get hurt. But before I went back to doing anything, I pulled my phone out and ordered this sucker, because it does have a kickback clutch, and it is nice. And it's also nice not having a big cord getting hung up in the way. And if you got a whole bunch of DeWalt tools anyway, these batteries here will last practically forever in a lesser tool, in one of the 20-volt tools. So it's not something super heavy. I've actually used it on the light a lot. That way, if I don't have light where I need it, you can just leave it in there. Didn't cut out quite enough, it looks like. Kind of wanting to do a little bit of minimal as far as the damage you do. That's the reason I just picked up the little one. And when I say damage, that's going to be under the window frame. You'll never see it, but you don't want to do any more damage than you need to. Once again, use the pry tool to keep pressure on that. It's a little more difficult. This is actually just about eye level when I'm not standing on a ladder, because the slope of the ground outside the house there. And you can see that 70-year-old stucco just cracking up. This window those window panes have not been closed in well over 20 years because the AC unit that was in here. So, the metal there and that stucco's been exposed to the weather on the inside there more than in other places. You'll notice this is outside the carport. That was part of the expense if I was going to reuse these windows, was the fact that many of them have been damaged to put window units in. And the hours of work it would have taken. These vinyl windows were actually quite cheap. I ordered them in spring of 2021 with I was told that the extended lead time would have been 10 to 12 weeks, where they normally were a 6 to 8 week thing. It took every bit of 6 months. In a former career, I was a professional janitor. You will occasionally hear every Marine is a rifleman. Well, they spend a lot more time sweeping, mopping, cleaning than they do shooting a rifle. So, if you want to come across somebody that really knows how to clean something, find you a Marine. And taking the screen out, taking those clips out. And some of you will see where I just made a mistake, but we'll leave that and talk about my mistake when the me on camera here sees it. Let's see how long it takes me. You could argue that I'm about to make the same mistake again. It's thirsty work. Here I go. So, y'all see? You see? We'll get it in here. We'll bump it in there. We'll make sure it looks right. I'm actually eyeballing my measurement to the outside of the house. I'm going for a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch inside the window frame. I want plenty of room to be able to hang blinds up and things like that. I have a little bit too much give right here. It's worrying me that it's going to shift around, so I'm putting these shims in here. In most cases in this house, with this construction, the shims have been temporary. Once I actually get things in there, I get it shot. Now, if I have a shim right next to where I shot a screw because there was a gap there, I don't remove those shims. But you see here, I'm still not noticing it. There we go, drill a hole. I don't know why I stopped there, I don't remember. Oh yeah, let's put the level up here and pretend like we used it. That way, internet smartasses. Oh, you see that? Yep, I just noticed it. I may have had a choice word there. You see what happened? Yeah, there we go. Anybody says they don't screw up is full of crap. Most people would have edited that out. I'm not most people. Anyhow, the shims on the top and bottom are temporary. Oh yeah, let's put the level up there and act like we use it. Oh yeah. And actually, pretty much all of these, they're pretty damn level. Go ahead and shoot the hole. Using these blue tap cons that got the Phillips head that'll go down flush. I start out, hardware store had 2 sizes. I start out with the smaller size, and if for some reason when I drill this out, I've actually got 3 alternatives. If I drill it out and you hit the mortar, sometime that mortar will crumble. So I've got a longer screw that's the same size. I'll try it. And if for some reason that don't work, I have one that's actually larger diameter, and I'll go ahead and use it. But if you started with the large one to begin with, you could have problems because the head of the screw, you're already having to shoot it pretty hard to keep it out of the track so the window can open and close smoothly. And there we go. It works, it works. I promise you it works. We'll have to come back here and vacuum out these tracks. And I'll frame this window out. I'll do a video later. Maybe I'll make a point of it being these windows. Of framing it out. I think some of the windows that are in less prominent areas, this is actually the kitchen. It'll be like in a little breakfast area. So I'll probably frame it out, try to make it look kind of nice. Some of the windows that are less visible, when I'm doing stucco repair, I'll probably just go back and stucco in.